para 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 pam. We're about to get real, and it's a little bit scary, but this is why I started this channel, and I think it's important for me to just live in my truth. First of all, hi guys, welcome to my creative space, welcome to Something Yellow, welcome to another sit down video. This is a sit down video. I will have vlogs coming up after this, but I felt like I needed to start off this. Well, I already started the channel, but I needed to say my truth first before we go any further, before we do anything else, because anything else I do after this is just gonna be based on what I'm about to say. So let's just get right into it. It's not like I'm about to unleash the secret of life, whereas it's gonna be like, wow, no, it's not that. It's just, I feel like it's needed. I want to document this time in my life where I decided to change things up, where I started to see things from a different perspective, where I made a decision to just live. And as much as I'm sharing this with the rest of the world, this is also for me to look back 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, and just be like, wow, that's where we were at. And we're always constantly evolving, which is a really good thing, and I'm thankful to God for that we have a chance and a choice to choose life, to choose how we're gonna live, but more so that we don't remain in the same place. I always look back at 1 year ago me, 2 years ago me, and I'm just like, wow, not the same girl. I mean, still me, still have the essence within us, but like a lot of different things have changed because different experiences bring out different lessons, bring out different types of growth, and I'm very appreciative of that. So recently, well, with everything that's been going on, COVID, and everything that it brought, because it brought a lot of things. It brought both good and bad things. Like, a lot has changed because of this whole COVID situation. Life has changed as we know it. We all know what's happened. Like, I don't need to really go into detail about that, and it's impacted us differently. So I'm not here to talk about what's already there, like general information. I'm here to talk about what it has meant for me and the decisions I have made recently towards my growth, that I saw if I don't do it this way, it will be a path of self-destruction, a cycle and a pattern of just pain, confusion, unrest. Basically, when COVID came, obviously school stopped. Initially I had planned to go back home. I plan to be back home by what month are we on now? I've literally lost track of time. We're in September. Time has flown. I planned to be home by June. So even when COVID came, I don't think at that point in March I necessarily understood that how big of an impact it was gonna be, that it would affect even travels and stuff like that. And eventually, obviously, I learned that I could not go back home, and a few of my other friends as well. And I think that community that we formed was also very helpful, because I feel like if they were not there, oh my gosh, God always knows just like what to provide and what to do, because God knows if my friends were not here with me, it would be a whole different story. I don't even want to know what it would be like. I trust that He would have still provided a way out. He would have still provided strength. Honestly, I can't imagine what it would have been like if my friends were not here, and I am so grateful for them, very grateful for each and every one of them, and just everything that they are. Yeah. I'm not about to get emotional, but like I'm just so grateful, because I'm just like, wow, these times we were not ready, but yeah, we've been there for each other, and that's, I think, a very beautiful thing. But that's besides the point. I really did want to go home and be with my family. I really, really did. Um, it was tough not being able to go back home. There was other personal issues that had come up right after I finished school. A few things that happened that really shook me a lot. Other than COVID and not being able to travel, a few other things happened that just like really shook my core. I'm not gonna go into detail. God has been faithful, and a lot of that has changed. That situation has and is changing for the better, but I will not lie and say that I it hit me and I was able to stand up again. It hit me, and it hit me hard. You know that when something hits you and it's just like the air out of you just leaves your body. That's the kind of pain I had. It was a hard time, I'll say that for sure. And the fact that I could not be home at that time made it even harder. Honestly, it's even God's it's just by God's grace that I even passed my exams and passed my modules really well, because the mental space that I was at that point, the way my mind was at that point, was just, it was just God. I was not okay at all. At all. I don't even know. I used to say that I was on airplane mode and something else took over me, and that's how I did school. But that's not what it was. That was just God that just said, you know what? This is a difficult time for you, and I'm gonna be with you. Of course, I trusted him, but honestly, at that point, God, even, you know how you feel like you can't even pray, you can't even trust, you can't even believe, because you're just like, everything around you seems so hopeless. That's how I felt. But I'm really grateful that God is the God I believe in, and God that even during those times he still stands close to you. He's still close to your heart, like even despite that. Anyway, that's the whole thing. After that, I had to move out of my accommodation because my contract was over. I had some family friends who had opened their home for me, and so I went and stayed with them for about a month. However, because they lived on accommodation that was also owned by the university, there is a law that says you cannot have people over for more than 3 weeks. And so because of that, I had to look for a place like real quick to move into, because I didn't want to put them at any risk. So that was also kind of stressful because it kind of all came last minute. They hadn't known about this law, and it just sort of came like a week before I had to leave, and I was just like, where do I find a place? I looked, I didn't find, but thank God for, wisdom and just like giving me the idea to go back to school. School welcomed me back. Went back to school accommodation, stayed there for about 2 months, but the contract was gonna end end of August, and if you're first year, you cannot live there beyond that time. You have to move out. So looking for a place was also a bit of a hassle, but thank God I found a place. I finally moved in. As you guys will see in the coming vlogs, I'll take you through my whole move-in process and whatnot. But yeah, it was a whole thing. Like, honestly, when I look back, I'm just like, how did that even happen? Like, if it wasn't for God, and if it wasn't for my friends, and if it wasn't for just like that strength to keep going, I don't know. Like, there was just so many things happening at once. And I think this year is the first time where I've just felt like adulting. Is that you? Is that you? Is this really what adulting feels like? Because wow, it's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah, I mean, God still came through, and I'm grateful. I am grateful. It was hard, but I'm grateful, and I grew. I learned new things, and I think that's not a loss, But anyway, during that whole entire time, I had to find things to do to just like, this is where it gets vulnerable, to cope. And coping for me, I just felt like it was really getting destructive. I would just, yeah, I just felt like I had so much to process with everything happening. On top of that, there was also the Black Lives movement, which was amazing. And honestly, I think in as much as it was draining to some degree, whew, there was a hope that came with it. I feel like it just felt like a whole revolution was about to begin, and there was finally our voices were being heard. And I really honestly thought it was a very beautiful thing. Here in Bristol, one of the statues in the city that depicts slavery, it was by, his name was Coldstone, it came down, and it was a glorious day. Anyway, that whole entire thing was beautiful. Because of going for that march, I put myself out there, and I did get some backlash. Thankfully, it's not from anybody I really know, and I honestly don't care. They're just ignorant people that have decided not to educate themselves, and that's just their problem. Speaking of ignorance, a good friend of mine and I, we curated a discussion on that, and waiting on her to upload it sometime soon. McKenna, hey. There's a short clip where we just like sort of talk about these issues. But anyway, besides that point, I was just going through a lot. Okay, there was COVID, I couldn't go back home, that was hard for me. There was other personal issues on top of that. There's the moving, and how I chose to cope was not just, was almost like I went numb. I stopped living in the present, and I started being a bit numb. And when I say numb, I don't mean just like an emotionless person. Oh my gosh, if anything, I am not emotionless. Like, I cry, okay? I cry. I'm a crier. Honestly, I'm just like, if I wasn't able to cry, I don't know how much I would be holding in. I think crying is important. You really let out a lot that's inside, and it's very helpful. So I did cry a lot, but the thing is, I wasn't dealing with the root issue. I wasn't dealing with my emotions. I was crying and then finding the next thing to distract me, and then crying and then finding the next thing to distract me. And that, I just felt like I was getting into some cycle. I noticed that like it wasn't helping. I just kept finding myself in the same position of just sadness, hopelessness, even when I prayed. Also, a thing I noticed is I stopped writing down my thoughts. I stopped journaling. Which for me is like, I used to write a lot, and that was my way of just like sort of like letting out what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling. And once I stopped doing that, I feel like everything just went crazy. I felt like I had too much to write. Like, it was overwhelming to the point where I sort of became lazy and just said, you know what, I'm not gonna write anything. I just have too much. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know what to do. Like, where do I start writing? Because it's too much. So I was just like, you know what, let's just distract ourselves. Let's do other things, you know. I started YouTube, so I'm gonna be honest. I started YouTube because I've always loved content creating. I do love being behind the camera, as you may tell by my IG, my Instagram, my Facebook. I do like being behind the camera, and I do like creating. I like expressing myself in very different ways. But one of the things is I love to create content. However, it's always been something I wanted to do, but this time I did not start it just because the first video I posted saying welcome to Something Yellow was recorded like almost 4 months or 5 months before COVID hit, before everything just went crazy. And so I was in a very different headspace. When I edited that video, I was not in the headspace that I was in that video. When I was talking in that video, that was a different me. That was a hopeful me. You could probably tell by the way I was talking and just like the way my eyes were and just everything, that everything was seemed, even when there was stress, like I was okay, like stable. I was stable. So I said, you know what, I had so much, you know, videos and stuff that I hadn't edited, and I thought, you know what will help me cope during these hard times. And in as much as, yes, it's not a bad thing to do, I used editing videos to cope, to distract myself from actually dealing with my emotions. I found that I was just creating content to survive. And even my last video, like, I enjoy talking about skincare, but I would have loved to do it a lot differently. I'm not trying to criticize myself in a negative way, but it's just, I know my potential. I know what I love to do. I know how much, you know, detail I can put, because I'm a detail kind of person. I'm into the tiny little things. And that for me applies to everything in my life. Everything. With my friendships, with my relationships, with my content creation, with the way I live my life. I care about the tiny little details. And I just got to a point where I was just like, Chebet, why are we doing this? Because content creation started becoming, I started having like a love-hate relationship with it. I started getting to a place where I was just like, I hate this. It's making me tired. It was draining me because I was using it to cope. I was using it to cope. So I wasn't conscious when I was creating. I was just in a very almost numb state of mind where I'm just like, let's just edit this, edit, upload, edit, upload. And I'm not thinking about my problems, so that's a good thing. Another thing that I found that I was doing, because I was a very faithful gym member. Yes, I was in love with the gym. For me, the gym was a place where I'd go and just, when I'm stressed from a long day in class or just at work or whatever it is, I just jump in and go for those classes, kettlebell class, and all those amazing classes, and I would just exert myself. I loved being with people. I loved my trainers. I loved being, I'm a people person. I love being around people, and I find that I like competition as well. So I feel like I get energy when I'm around people, and so working out with people for me was working. I found that I could not motivate myself to work out. I couldn't keep with my goals because I'm just like, I need to be around people. I need to be with people. How am I doing this on my own? And so I just fell into this terrible habit of just being in bed and just watching movies, and don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, sometimes the thing is, I'm not hating on how I chose to cope. My body did what it could. My mind did what it could to carry me through those days, and I'm grateful for that. However, I just got to a place where I was just like, you know what? It's enough. Let's move to the next level. Let's get out of this fuzz, of this funk, and start living. I think I've just gotten tired. I appreciate what my body has done for me during these months. It has carried me through these months. It has helped me survive in the way it knows best. My mind has done what it could. However, I knew deep down that this is not how I wanted to always be. And I just got tired of that routine. I was getting into that pattern, that cycle that was just always ending in hopelessness. And I was just like, no. We need to get back to being joy, being Chebet. Like, I just felt like I was losing who I really was in all this. And I just got to a place where I was like, yo, I miss me. I miss just being me. And I decided I'm gonna take more walks. I'm gonna get back to my working out. I'm gonna be more consistent. I'm not gonna go hard on myself and say, let's do this every day, but I started slow. Once a week, twice a week, and now we're at twice a week with solid walks, at least twice a week. I started going to see, I love the sunset. For me, I think if you know me through even IG, sunsets are something special to me, very special. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's the wonder and just looking at God's masterpiece and just being like, wow, I don't know what it is, but something about the sunset just gives me hope. It just draws me. I don't know how. It just makes me feel good. And so I started going to see the sunsets every day. I try if the weather is good. I started doing things to make me happy. Every day I started doing a few things to just make me happy. I started journaling, but I realized that it was hard for me to write. And so I said, you know what? Let me try, and started audio journaling. Honestly, that has been the best thing. It's become like therapy for me. It's funny how I actually found, so I don't know, you could try this if you want, but like I went on WhatsApp, and you know how there are these groups that have been formed, and I think there was a group where I found I'm the only one left in the whole group. And that's where I started to put my audio entries into that group. There's nobody, it's just me, myself, and I, hopefully, because if anybody gets in at any point, yeah, there goes all my secrets leaked to the rest of the world. But anyway, I started to audio journal. Every time I feel anything, it's just easier to just get it and just talk, cry if you want, and then stop. And sometimes I go and listen to the old ones, and sometimes I don't, but either way, it helps. It has helped me to just like let out how I'm feeling. And I've noticed that I've become more conscious with how I'm feeling most times. I've realized I start to note when I feel a certain way. I'm just like, okay, I'm feeling anxious and I need to do this. Been reading a lot of different books and also following pages that help with mental health. I have realized that I've been following a lot of pages that help with mental health, because for me that's what's been helping. Yeah, I'm following pages that just make me feel destructive, that distract my mind or just bring destruction to my mind. I'm following those, decluttering, letting go of things that I don't need to hold on to, and just with all that new perspective, I realized, you know what, I need to start being truthful even in my content creation. I need to, just like the goal I had and the dream I had in the beginning for my channel, being vulnerable, being truthful, showing hope, giving light, letting other people know that you're not alone, that if you're going through this same confusion, I mean, we all are, but I just felt like I needed to say my truth and be a bit more specific. I'm really excited to be in this platform, to show you guys my life, to create, to express. I am so excited for it and I can't wait for more. However, I will, and I honestly pray to God to keep this promise, be as truthful and as vulnerable as possible. Like, I'm just gonna try and be as truthful as possible. And in that, I feel like I'm being truthful to myself, because I felt like I wasn't being truthful to myself before, in that I was living very passively, and now I want to be more conscious in everything I do, and that includes in my content creation, which I love and enjoy. Another thing I've realized about life is that, and this is something that's obvious, but sometimes you forget, life does not go in a straight line. There will be ups and downs, extreme ups and extreme downs. There'll be times when you're joyful, when you're happy, when you're at peace, when everything is just going right. And there'll be times when you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling down, you're feeling lost, you're feeling low, confused, almost like nothing's gonna get any better. But I'm just coming to the really strong realization that this really is just life, and that we need to embrace every part of it, the good and the bad. And thankfully we have God. Whatever you believe in, honestly, for me, I believe in Jesus Christ. So I feel like that's helping me. He's helping me navigate the highs and the lows. So for me, I think I'm done with distracting myself, and with God's help, because life, yeah, just it's funny. It's funny. It's very funny, because even what this week has been hard for me. I won't lie, this has been a hard week. It's Wednesday. The week is not very far in, but but I've just chosen to sail. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I know that Christ is engulfing me, that he's protecting me, that he has my back. With every situation that comes, I'm gonna learn something that from whatever I go through. And with that knowledge, like, I can live as me. I don't have to distract myself anymore because of any pain I have or any discomfort I have. I can just live as me, because I can just trust that God knows what he's doing with my life, that he knows why I'm going through this situation, or why this is like this, or why this is like that. Like, I don't have to worry so much, and I don't have to find things to distract myself. I don't have to use the things I love to distract me anymore. I can just live in my purpose, live as me, just be me. And I think that's a very comforting thought, because it's very tiring to constantly be distracting yourself, always finding avenues to just like forget, when you can trust and just sail. Easier said than done. Something that I think triggered this change of heart one day, and it's so funny how something almost insignificant can just completely change your whole perspective. I was literally going grocery shopping one day, and as I'm walking, I see this father and very tiny, cute little son, very small, almost like he looked like he was probably around 3 years old, and he was holding his hand. Like, I could see them from a while. They were coming towards me. We were gonna meet at some point, and I was gonna make a turning somewhere else, and they were gonna go on, but I could see them from afar. And like, anyone would just say, oh, that's just a a dad and his son, but something tugged at my heart when I saw that, and the picture I got was Christ and me being that 3-year-old boy and just trusting that my dad will carry me through the path and wherever I'm going. Like, the kid looked so happy, the kid was so peaceful, the kid was just smiling. He didn't even worry about anything. He looked so just like, yo, I'm just here to live my best life, I'm just here to live my best life. And the dad was just like, making sure that, he gets over this hurdle and over that hurdle, make sure he doesn't hit that log, and that stone doesn't like trip the baby. And you could just see the dad knew, like, he was just carrying him. The kid trusted, and he just completely let go. And the kid was just having the time of their lives. And it just tugged at my heart. And I was like, oh, wow. I actually felt like crying. It's so funny how something like that can just make you just be like, wow. I just felt like, how many times have I not trusted God? Like, all these things I'm here distracting myself with, I was using the things I love to distract me, yet I could just let go. Why am I stressing? Why am I worrying about what's coming ahead of me? Why am I worrying about what happened, or what's happening? I'm worrying about the future, I'm worrying about the present, I'm worrying about the past. Nah, that's a lot. It's a lot. Why am I stressing? Honestly, it's like, why? Like, yes, it's normal to stress. And here's the thing, I'm not saying disregard your feelings, completely just live in this fantasy world, because that's not reality. Yes, there's pain, but trusting that in the midst of that pain, that you have no control, but you just have to let it go. Like, yes, feel the pain, internalize, allow it to run its course, cry, talk about it, journal about it, work on it, yes, but also just know that you're not alone, Anyway, so those are just my 2 cents. That whole moment changed my idea of how I saw God. I've always known God as my father, but at that moment, I saw God as my father. I don't know if you're getting, like, I was just like, yo, he really got me. I hope you guys can go on this journey with me and learn things as well. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are some of the things that you've been doing during this season to just, keep going? What are some of the things that you've been doing? What are some of the habits that you have decided to now incorporate into your life? What are some of the things that now you're doing differently? What are some of the things that you've stopped doing? I'd really, really love to know. Let's keep this conversation going. There will be lots of vlogs coming up after this. However, I just felt like I really needed to share my truth, and I feel a lot better. This comes to the end of my video, and see you guys in the next. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and yes, let's grow this family. Let's grow this family. No, I did not just say that. This something yellow. Let me bring something yellow into your life. Some bright, some light, some good vibes. Okay. Bye, guys.